Hi, welcome to Iconoclasting with Sarah Smith, and this week we have Erin Peshoff, Chief Curator with Vivia Studios. Hi, Erin.
Hi, Sarah. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. So, as I've talked to you before, the way that we do this podcast is that it's really talking to people that are doing interesting things in non-traditional ways. And I love how you started Vivia Studios. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. And also, I want to say I'm a Ravenclaw to your Hufflepuff. So, of course, we're going to have a great time today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So, tell us more what Vivia Studios does.
So, Vivia Studios is a consultancy focused on systems and processes. So, I've been in nonprofits for 26 years at this point, doing all different things, anything from frontline fundraising to working for AI and other service providers to consulting with firms and consulting on my own. And I love making systems and people match together. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted this to be like, when I was thinking about going back out into the consulting universe, I decided to ground it in positive psychology. Positive psychology is the idea of going from baseline to flourishing. So traditional psychology is I have this thing happening to me. I need to go fix it. I need to do that and get to a baseline. And I believe that if your processes and your people are thriving at a nonprofit or a nonprofit adjacent company, you're more likely to be doing those things. You're more likely to go to thriving because this work is really hard. Nonprofit space right now is crazy given everything that's happening in the universe. It's harder and harder to raise money. And so if you don't have systems that take care of your humans, that give you visibility into your donor pipeline, into the project management flow, into how your things are working together, it's much harder to succeed. So when I conceived the idea, I purposely called it studios. I didn't want to call it consultancy because I liked the idea of operating within creativity, thinking a little bit differently about how we do this work. How do we match skills to people? And then second to that, I also wanted to make sure there was space for everybody at the table. One of my favorite quotes is, and I'm going to butcher it, but take it with a grain of salt. It's, if you want to add more people, build a bigger table. Build a bigger table and invite people in. And so that's my goal with this is how do we start to systematize what we do in ways that work for different organizations?
I love that idea of building a bigger table, especially like we're around the holidays right now. That's really important. The idea of inclusion is really important to me and to most of the clients I work with as well.
Yeah.
Love that. So tell me more about going out on your own for you and the positive psychiatry, not psychiatry.
Psychology.
Tell me
Yeah.
psychology.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell
so
me more
during
about that.
COVID, I decided. So backing up, years ago, I found this thing called The Good Life Project by Jonathan Fields. It's a great podcast. He has several books, fascinating human. And I found him because of Brené Brown, because I wanted to be a coach at that point. I thought I will be a coach, but so I can do Brené Brown's coursework out in the world. That's where I started. Like that was my grounding point. And then I came across a podcast she'd done with Good Life Project. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I found out that they were doing a camp for grownups. And this was in 2017. It was their fourth year doing it. It was in upstate New York. It was 3 days. You sleep in a bunk. There are a bazillion sessions. They have really cool swag, which I thought was nice. And just like really leaning into this idea of living a good life. And I went, and it was really uncomfortable because the people were so real. And I didn't know about positive psychology. And I was in a really unhealthy marriage and a really unhealthy life. And came home and I was like, wow, this is cool. And so I learned a lot about sort of some woo-woo stuff like Reiki and energy healing and, a lot of meditation and yoga. And then I started to kind of pull on threads. I was like, well, what's this? And what does this look like? What does this look like? And positive psychology, there was a program from an organization called the Flourishing Center in New York, based in Martin Seligman, who's the founder of positive psychology's work. And so I went back a second time to camp. It was their last year doing it in 2018. But I still kind of I was signed up for all the newsletters and I was learning about it. And then I got divorced and was on my own and it was COVID. And I was like, I'm going to do this class. I'm going to take some of my money and I'm going to do this 9-month program, 2 days a week. There was homework. There was reading. The notebook from it is one of those giant notebooks. And it
Wow.
was all about interventions. So positive psychology isn't
Mm.
just, you go, you talk to someone and it's done. You start to insert different ways of behavior. So for example, gratitude is a huge piece of it. So are
Hmm.
you looking at what you're grateful for every day? And it literally changes the way your brain synapses fire. So
Hmm.
moving from, a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And all of the work that I do on a day-to-day basis has been influenced by that in funny ways. It's like a pebble in a pond. Like someone popped the pebble and it pops everything I'm doing. So
Hmm.
when a client has a problem, I'm like, what's the underlying issue? Like, what are they actually trying to achieve? Because with systems, you're solving a problem. You're creating something, as you know, you're fixing a database, you're getting
Yeah.
their sprint in line, they're figuring all that out. For my clients, because I live in that middle space between tech and between the regular people, I like to call them,
Yeah.
the day people, I'm always like, okay, what are we actually saying with this problem? And how do we figure out what interventions need to take place to make this work, to make someone commit
Hmm.
to a database or make people commit to project management or rewrite a policy that doesn't make sense? And
Yeah.
that's been sort of the underpinning under all of it. It's a really interesting field. And it's one that the goal is that we're all flourishing. So it's not,
Hmm.
you know, so out there that it couldn't happen. It's not like a utopia where we don't recognize problems. It's not toxic positivity. It's like really how do you shift your mindset to behave differently in the world? And when you're not doing that, what happens?
Yeah. I love I there's a couple of organizations ago that I was talking with the team that I had about toxic positivity because that was making the rounds I think in
Yeah.
early 2020 and
Hmm.
2021. And I find it hilarious. And so I often joke that we'll do ominous positivity. Everything better be okay. So that's one of my favorites. I
Yeah.
love Brene Brown. I love what you're talking about. A lot of it has to do with it's very similar to what I do with Iconoclast. Is
Mhm.
like, I also didn't want to do any kind of like coaching name or anything like that. I wanted it to be we innovate. We do things differently. We think about it differently and we want it to be different for the people we're serving,
Mhm.
right? So it's really, really important. There were so many threads that you talked on. And so I cannot pull on every single one of them like I would like to, truly. But as you're going through this, what are some of the things that like you're finding as the biggest issues that you see over and over again?
So it depends. So if it's a consulting firm that I'm working with, the big issue tends to be volume and growth. Can I keep up with the
Mm,
growth I want to do, right?
yeah.
Even folks who are pretty well known in the nonprofit industry, like there's so much happening, and a lot of them are either boutique firms with just a few people, and they don't want to compete with the big guys who have done it for a million ways over and over
Yeah.
and over again. For those guys, it's like figuring out the actual problem because they're so smart and they are consultants.
Mm,
There's a lot they can do themselves. And so I have to figure out what needs to live with them and then what I can help influence and take care of and help them. So I kind of think of myself as, like I said, like a curator of how do you separate out those people and how do I give them the things they need to do. So for solopreneurs, it's how do I get business in the door, right?
you're
It's
right.
how do I continue my pipeline and then service? Like I have to service
Hmm.
clients that I just got, and how do I keep myself organized and maintain things? So a lot of what I do there is like
Hmm.
let's fix that problem. Like, and not everybody's the same. Gretchen
Yeah.
Rubin writes The Four Tendencies, and she talks about change. And so there's different ways to operate and change. Plus, if
Hmm.
you're neurodivergent in any way, if you have ADHD or any of those sort of things, you think very differently. So it's finding the right system for the right person to solve that problem at that moment, and it might change.
Yeah. And it goes back to your tailoring
Hmm.
everything you need from individual to approach,
Yeah.
which is I mean, there is no one size fits all approach. And I mean, truly, there never has been one, right?
And there shouldn't be. I mean, we're all like
No.
unique DNA. We're like little snowflakes in a good way flying around the world. There's
I
just
call
no,
us I call us usually like electrified meat bags, just making it.
yeah, we're just getting through. Like it's just,
Yeah.
and how do you get through with like a little bit more ease and a little more structure
Yeah.
and a little more safety? Um,
Yeah.
and from a young age, like I've been an organizer. Like I have a bad day, you're
Oh, I
gonna find
know.
me in a closet organizing something.
Yeah.
This is just like
Yeah.
a natural extension of that as a person.
I know. My husband, it's funny, going back to the Harry Potter thing, what my husband calls our pantry the rotating stairs of Hogwarts. Because you can tell where I'm at in my life by how organized our pantry is. So, because I'll pull it out every couple of months, every
Yeah,
6 months or so, maybe more. Who knows? And
depends.
just reorganize it. Got to have the clear containers, make
Oh
it
yeah,
look nice.
labels, label makers. I
Yeah.
love my label maker.
Yeah. But it's all about ease. I can look at it and say, we need more rice. We need whatever. My son needs more apple sauces,
Right. And now
things
he's
like
reached
that.
them and he needs to be able to get his own snack, right? Like,
Yes,
what does
because he
that
is
look like?
5 and
Hmm.
he's been able to get his own snack since he was like 1.
Good job, Mom. That's
Thanks. I don't have time for that. I don't.
awesome.
So, and he loves the freedom and the independence. So, and he's always been used to it. And his friends come over and they know where to go,
That's
which is great.
awesome. That's so cute.
So, yeah. So you create systems for ease. And I love that. Like when we met and you told me what you did, I was like, yes, I want to be best friends with you and I want to do all the things.
I love it.
So,
That's awesome. Same.
yeah, for sure. For sure. So, when you're working specifically with nonprofits, is there a particular approach you take? Is that different than when you're working with like solopreneurs with
It definitely is.
consultancies?
Yeah. So
Hmm.
clients and who are in the nonprofit space are usually under tremendous amount of pressure. They've got a lot of goals. They're
Hmm.
working on, I've worked at many different organizations. Some were easier to raise money for than others. And the bottom line is like they have to bring money in the door. And often people
Yeah.
are doing 3 or 4 jobs. Um, so first I try to figure out like, okay, what are you actually telling me you need? You're telling me you need a CRM, but what you actually need is this is the reporting that needs to come out of the CRM. So I like to
Hmm.
send the baby to college before it's born. If you want a CRM, where are we trying to go? If you
Yeah.
need to manage your projects because you have no sense of how much time your team's spending because everyone's remote now, how do we do that in a way that
Yeah.
is genuine to who you are? So I'll often look at their values too, um,
Mm.
written and perceived values. I like to always start with an assessment of some kind, like what's happening,
Yes.
what's really the issue. And I like to assess the whole team that's going to be working on something. So I won't
Hmm.
necessarily interview everybody, but I will typically at least do a survey, like what's
Yep.
going on. And then let's find the pain point first and sort of
Hmm.
structure it that way. And, when you're implementing new systems for nonprofits, there's always someone who hates it. I've never been
Oh,
somewhere
yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
everybody loves this and they're so excited. No, there's always
Hmm.
at least one person, and that one person is afraid of losing their job. And that's really
Absolutely.
like, are you going to replace me? Can I learn this? I don't want to
Hmm.
change the way I've been doing it. So, how do you incentivize them to be
Yep.
part of it? And so, my favorite thing to do is to make friends with that person.
Yeah. And often those people become your biggest supporters at the end of
Mhm.
it, which
Yeah,
is so key.
I love it.
And so, yeah. And some of the things I heard, especially when I was consulting with like for credit, is we were encouraging people to stop using the back and side doors to get work into the teams. And
Hmm.
so somebody said, but I've known this person for 30 years. You expect me to tell them, no, we have something else to do? And so knowing what their objections are going to be helps tremendously. And being able to talk to them like a human
Yeah.
is incredible and incredibly powerful.
And or it's that, the airing of the grievances is another thing I like to
Yes.
do. I will,
Yeah.
when a team's starting to collapse in on itself and you can see it, I will
Hmm.
stop the ship. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
we're all getting in this conference room and you're going to send me your grievances anonymously. Here's a place, and I'm going to put them up on the
Yeah.
wall and we're going to figure out
Yeah.
how to fix them. Um, because you got to get it out. It's like extracting poison.
It is. And it will take you down for
Hmm.
sure. So I love that. The airing of the grievances. Festivus. So
That's
yeah.
for the rest of us.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, what are some things people, your potential clients, anybody who's looking for like a change in just a change in process, a change in mindset, if they want to learn more about positive psychology, not psychiatry? I think that's just where they give you happy pills.
I think
Um,
that's
but if they wanted to learn something about this, is there what would you send them to? I mean, maybe it's booking a call with you and you can
But
talk to them
absolutely, I'll
directly.
always talk
Yeah.
about positive psychology. Yeah, I think you have to start small. And so there's a lot of
Yeah.
great, I actually have a little Instagram channel I run called the
Ooh,
Nonprofit Growth Studio. And I just
cool.
started it, but I put out ideas and things like that. Following places like the Flourishing Center, Martin Seligman from UPenn, from University of Pennsylvania, also a great resource for positive psychology. And I still love the Good Life Project. I still listen to it all the time.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's one of those take what you like and leave the rest moments
Yes.
because we're not always ready. my when I was changing my life and revamping several years ago, one of my friends is like, I've known this was here. It was your Pandora's box and you kept stuffing it in your closet until you couldn't do it anymore. And so I wasn't ready to hear all the things that I was ready to hear later. So
Yeah.
when you're wanting to get into this, like start where it feels comfortable. Like, is there someone
Hmm.
you vibe with when you listen to them? If there's someone that
Yeah.
doesn't, put them on the broad. You don't have to listen to what they have to say. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
million books on this stuff. There's a million places you can go. I think starting with where you feel comfortable.
Hmm.
And I struggled through that course. I had a lot of crying, a lot of like,
Yeah.
wait, well, I'm a positive, happy person. And there's a difference between like
Yeah.
growth mindset and, when you fail, I have a little chart. It's packed away because Christmas has exploded in my office, but it's basically
Obviously.
like growth versus this.
Yeah.
This is one way to do it. Like I failed versus I learned. Like these
Hmm.
little tweaks that start to go in. And I think you have to fold them in pieces. Like you can't just
Yeah.
immerse yourself in like a full
Hmm.
body polish from the Hunger Games. Like it doesn't work like that. Like you have to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I really love about that is just the part where it's you take what you like and you leave the rest. And one of the things that I try to do is gratitude. At least if I'm not writing it down, then I used to do like a very structured 8 things I'm grateful for today, 3 of my own assets because sometimes I get bogged down in it. I think I'm the worst person ever, And I think about that, and I also think about how can I help somebody else today.
Yeah.
Those are very, very important tenets to me. And I grew up in a household that was not particularly positive, I'll say. And so I've been learning a lot of in my adult life. Growth mindset has been a big one.
Mhm.
Mindset by Carol Dweck has been
Oh
one of the
yeah.
best
That's a
books.
great resource.
Yeah, yeah, strong recommendation if somebody does not own it. I can't remember if I have it on my bookshelf or not. But yeah, it's oh my gosh, that's one of the main things I recommend when I'm working with somebody as a coach. Growth mindset is always up there. It's so
And you
good.
can change. I mean, I'm going to turn 50 in February, and I
Hmm.
sometimes call myself the poster child of change. You can keep evolving.
Yeah.
We don't have to
Yeah.
be the same if it doesn't serve us anymore.
Yeah, and I don't do it great. I fail and I learn new things, and I've learned to word love the word fail. I
Mhm.
love it. I love when I fail because I learned something from it. And I'm working to impart that on my son, and when my daughter gets big enough to understand English better, we'll work on that too.
I'll
Pardon
work
me.
on that
And
too. Yeah,
yeah.
whenever my kids come to me with a problem, I'm like, there's always a what? They're like, solution. Well, I
Mhm.
roll, but that's how they think. Like, there's always a way to get through something. And
Yeah.
it might not be the answer you love, but it will help you get through. And then you'll figure out what the other side looks like.
It's so important to have that resiliency built in. And the only way you really get it, I don't think people are born with it, but it's to keep trying.
You got to keep trying. You got to keep going
Yeah.
over and over. And failing's okay. And you're not going to like
Yeah.
everything either.
Yeah. No.
I think that's been a huge lesson too. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have to like everyone and everything. I have to be kind and
Yeah.
respectful and open, but not everyone's going to be your person. Like, you are not chocolate. So, like,
Yeah.
how do you get okay with that so you're around your people?
I did tell a friend of mine one time, this was years ago, I was like, I understand I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And he was like, yeah, when you first started coming around, people really did not like you. I was like, wait, okay, I did not, I got it. I didn't need it slapped in my face,
Right.
bro.
Thanks for that one. Yeah.
It's like, thank you so much. That was not necessary. But yeah, it was really funny. And I should have known that, right?
And the other side of that is like, I spent years being the most likable person in the room, even when
Hmm.
I didn't like the people in the room. And so that's also
Yeah.
really disingenuous to show up and
Yeah.
pretend you like people when you don't. Like, there's there are agreements, the 4 agreements. It's like, be impeccable
Hmm.
with your word. I think part of being impeccable with your word is being honest about who you are.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I agree. And I was an English major in college, and I specifically love Great Britain poets
Mm-hmm.
and that area for writing. And one of my favorite poets is Seamus Heaney from Ireland, Dublin specifically. He died in Dublin, but he was from Northern Ireland and was very like he went through the troubles, and so that had obviously a profound
Yeah.
effect on him. And one of my favorite lines of his is, "You lose more of yourself than you redeem doing the decent thing."
Mhm.
And to me, I've always taken that, and I actually have it tattooed on me. But that means to me that I can go the path that everybody thinks I should go, but I've got to charge ahead on my own. I have to find the things that work best for me.
Yeah, and you got to gut check it too, and
Mhm.
that's why I think if you are being genuine, you're more likely to work through objections with other people because
Yeah.
you're not trying to listen to counteract, you're listening to actually
Yeah.
pay attention, which is a huge difference in behavior.
Yes, and it goes back to Brené's Brown on work on authenticity as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. So number one, let's talk about this, and we're about to wrap up. But what are some, let's say, three things you would leave people thinking about today?
First is that there's always a solution.
Uh huh.
So really, like if whatever is going on right now, you can solve it, and there are resources to help you do so.
Mm-hmm.
I've navigated a lot of depression and anxiety and all of that stuff, and you got to face it, and you have to just work through it, and you're not alone in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
The second is that you are worth a lot more than you think you are. You have inherent worth, and that one took me a while. Like I was
Oh,
definitely
me too. Yeah.
prove it. I
It's in
have to
my
prove the worth.
early 30s before I learned that. Yeah.
And the second is joy is not for me negotiable. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
live a life that's not joyful, where I'm not laughing,
I
where
love that.
I'm,
Yeah.
where I'm not. And everybody has bad days. Like everybody. It's
Mm-hmm.
been one heck of a
Yeah.
month for me. There have been a lot of changes, but
Yeah.
if joy keeps getting squashed, I'm not willing to live that life. So like, what's the thing
Yeah.
what's your non-negotiable that you're not willing to give up? And then
I
how do you
love
ask
that.
questions around that?
It's amazing. I love that. So, if people want to get in contact with you and learn more about positive psychology, how to work with you, how to just be around you more, maybe they'll get you know, the positive vibes. How can they find you? What's the
You
best
can
way?
find me on my website, which is viviastudios.com. I'm sure you can pop it into the show notes. And
Yep.
that's the best place to find all the things to get in touch. My email's on there. All of the things are on there. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. So if you find me on
Hmm.
LinkedIn, it's under Erin Peshoff. I love
Yeah.
to like chat and get ideas there. So that's another place to discover me.
Perfect. All right. Well, great. Well, I will put all of that in the show notes. This was such a great catch up with you. I'm
You
really
too.
appreciative of you, friend.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on the show. And we'll see you
Absolutely.
soon.
Yep.
Thank you.
Take care.